The other day I was talking with my therapist and he told me I needed to channel my anger more effectively. Snapping my fingers, I realized I'd had a breakthrough. After all, he was talking about Ikari Points, or IP in Lufia 2. I had just won therapy. Despite his objections, I bounded out of the office to begin this challenge run. Can you beat Lufia 2 with only IP abilities? What is IP, you may ask? Well, every time you take damage, your IP gauge increases based on a number of factors, mainly your guts. You can't see the number next to your IP bar, but it's somewhere between 0 and 254. Just trust me, bro. Every ability has a cost ranging from you can use this if you get a paper cut IP usage, all the way up to draining your entire bar. Long story short, if I don't have enough IP to attack, I've just got to burn a turn, either by defending or throwing a random useless item. More precariously, once I get healing IP, every point of in-battle damage I heal has to be restored using an IP ability. For the sake of my sanity, I'm still allowing out-of-battle healing, and I'm still allowing stat-boosting magic, as well as reviving my downed characters, even without the use of IP. With our rules in place, we can confirm the answer to our question is an emphatic no. You don't get access to IP until the second town, and there's both a training dungeon and a first real big boy dungeon to tackle before we can enter same. All told, there are 4 battles you absolutely positively have to take. 2 jellies, a lizard, and the lizard man. Regardless of these roadblocks, Maxim, or IP as I've named him, defrauds his girlfriend, learns how to fight real good-like, and retrieves a key, after which he buys a battle knife. Now that he can use his IP freely, we're locked in. IP traverses the lake cave and fights a catfish. And before I level grind, I need to discuss one of the more annoying facets of this game.
Boss drops.
Bosses in this game drop really good loot. The catfish, for example, drops the catfish jewel, which grants a phenomenally inexpensive IP ability in Megaquake. But if you've played a JRPG before, you can see the problem. You only can fight them once, so if you don't get it, you gotta reset. I try this a few times, resetting that is, in the hopes of landing the jewel, but I don't get lucky, so I just decide to go ahead and proceed. With the bottom feeder deep fried, IP searches the cave for some french fries and hush puppies, so he can have a proper fry. But all he finds is Tia, out for revenge because we overcharged her for the jellies. After we gaslight her into thinking we didn't commit any fraud, we watch the world's worst guards ply their trade. Thankfully, we can do their jobs for them. To keep us quiet, the king gives me 3,000 gold. Aw yeah. We're not out of the woods yet. This small boy has stolen a key, which means it's time for our first real test of the run, Regal Goblin. See, not only does old Regs hit really hard, he can summon his buddies to come play. This means that since I didn't get the catfish jewel, IP must rock bomb attack, courtesy of the Lake Cave's insect crush, or else we'll quickly get overwhelmed. And the battle goes swimmingly. I was expecting to be staring down the business end of a game over screen, but Lady Luck smiled upon me. Our next stop is Tanbul to get our next party member, Guy. As soon as he joins up, we're immediately tasked with saving his sister Hilda, which means we gotta take on Camus. and he is super easy, barely an inconvenience. Camus is blessedly weak to thunder, and conveniently enough, the kukri that I can buy at Tanbil gives us that very element. Thunderblast is, in terms of IP cost, the exact same as the one used by the Battle Knife. It's just more damaging because it's coming out of a stronger weapon. With the help of the bracelet's Ironclad ability, Buster Attack is survivable, and it gives us plenty of IP to keep thundering it up. Hilda is saved. After we drop her off, we run right back up to the tower to claim some real double-edged swords. The Fire Dagger gives us our strongest attack yet, at a cost of 65% of our IP bar. The Pearl Brace is one of 2 items available at the moment that protects against paralysis, but it only goes on the hella squishy Tia. Camu Armor gives us our first all-party healing IP, but can only go on Guy, who is pretendously slow. All these trade-offs come to bite me in the ass against Tarantula. I decide after a few attempts that I just can't beat Tarantula IP only. First off, Tarantula hits hard. Second off, he can paralyze when he hits, at a 90% rate, and only Tia is immune. Third off, he summons buddies who can put you to sleep. Fourth off, he's got an attack that hits everybody to the tune of 60 to 70 damage. Finally, when his HP gets low enough, he starts using Stronger to heal himself, and he's got enough MP to use it 40 times, so an Earthbound style wait out is just not in the cards. If I want to win, I've just gotta juggle too much healing and attacking. The attacks that aren't Blaze Attack don't deal enough damage to outspeed his healing, and I'm spending too much time healing off the damage he causes to make much headway. I could level up, but then he's dealing less damage to me overall, which means less IP, and he's getting more opportunities to paralyze me. Way too many things have to go my way to make this happen, and they just probably won't. All other avenues exhausted, I reluctantly defeat him the old-fashioned way. Then I decide to tackle the rest of the game, to see if I encounter any other roadblocks. Spoiler alert, I'm going to encounter a major one. Our next stop is Parcelite, where we meet Selen, a lady swordsman. But before IP can engage her in swordplay, we're tasked with grabbing a different sword. The treasure sword, that is. And in its shrine is the ultimate treasure, one that, in my opinion, makes this entire run possible. No, not the sword, doofus. It's the Mind Ring. That grants us the stronger IP, and suddenly we have reliable healing that can be targeted however we want, at a cost of only about 26% of the IP bar. The treasure sword itself is protected by 2 evil clowns that thankfully show their weaknesses on their sleeves. They're tough enough with 4 people, but the nature of these horrible harlequins, these perfidious Pagliacci, these felonious farceurs, is such that we've got to take them on simultaneously with 2 teams of 2. Pierre here likes to single target us with Fireball, and a bad RNG roll means Tia gets clapped even when fully healthy. Even when things go my way with Pierre, Danielle is able to down Guy and Selen with enough time. Thankfully, after I knock them out the first 2 times, they'll dutifully wait for us to go down and level grind so we can come back even stronger. And this time we do what Batman has only ever done in alternate universes, and maybe perhaps the Killing Joke, possibly, it's unclear. We killed the Joker. We can barely bask in the glow of our newly acquired treasure sword before we're told to go west and take on some dude who destroyed an entire city. Sure, yeah, that's totally in our wheelhouse. We stop off to get Holy Wings, which give us our first all-party healing IP that isn't on a super slow character. After we climb the tower, we run into Gades, and I've got a top secret strategy for dealing with him, which is that I don't. You don't have to beat him to progress the game. It will cost you your IP bar, but you can easily get that back. We do get the hook shot though, and that grants us another whiz-bang item, the Water Jewel, whose Frost IP is currently our strongest multi-target damage option. Guy is so embarrassed by this defeat that he strips nude, which is just as well because he's called away. Before you can say three's company, we're off to Merrick's and trying to repair a bridge. And this random but non-optional battle is going to be the death of me. See, before I remembered I had the Water Jewel, I was clamoring for multi-target damage, and these demented doggos were summoning their buddies at an unsustainable rate. Thankfully, I recall that I have the Water Jewel, and we send the puppies to a nice farm family upstate where it's nice and cold. And we've got a bridge back. Next up is Bound Kingdom, and if you wonder why I'm calling it that, watch XO Peachy. She's great. Anyway, we meet Dakar, and then we meet Prince Alex. And we learn that Prince Alex vastly overestimates his own abilities. So much so that we have to follow him to the North Labyrinth. And there is just some wonderful stuff in that labyrinth. Chief among them, the Thunder Ring, which gives us access to level 2 attack magic, and the Deadly Sword, which is the strongest weapon right now with bomb attack, and one I go out of my way to uncurse. Once we get our goodies, it's boss time, and I'm much less happy with this boss lineup than I am with the treasure loadout. The mummies go down easy enough, but the trolls really like to gang up on Selen. I'm debating doing another grind, but before I do, I just decide to switch up my strategy. If we go in with full IP bars, Selen should theoretically have no problem using Bolt every turn. So I just set IP and Tia to healing every round. It's not a guarantee, and if they gang up on Selen, we're toast. But they don't, so we're able to proceed. Guy's back, and we've learned Gades wants our heads, so it's time to take him down for good. I give Guy a Gladius that I bought in Merrick's, and my strategy is similar to the previous boss. Play it conservative. Unless you just drank a shot of paint thinner, you'll remember our previous fight with Gades, where he just absolutely wrecked my day. But he's been sitting on his butt and watching daytime TV, so he's a shell of his former self. Even with his dilapidated state, it's still touch and go, but we're able to pull it off. Gades is slayed, IP gets laid, but we got played. The evil has stayed. Our next challenge is Idura, who stole our child, and we want our baby back, baby back, baby back, with barbecue sauce. Idura's a major threat, and we only have 2 people, so we can't avail ourselves of the back row. Together, we outspeed him, but after he summons a buddy, a full round of attacking will put down Selen, and I can't really stop him from summoning buddies. Enter the B-Rock. On a whim, I use Immobilize, and before you can say Barry B. Benson, it paralyzes his buddy. Idura goes down easily enough after this, but I quickly realize I have a problem. I don't have enough IP to take down the groupie, and as he's paralyzed, there ain't nothing he can do to bring my bar back up. Thankfully, after several turns, he comes free and hits me to awaken my anger, and I knock him the heck out. Dakar and Guy rejoin us, and our next step is building a boat. But before we can buy a boat, we have to find a shipwright, and we have to beat up a couple lions. They're faster than us and they're weak to ice. This will be a theme over the next few bosses. Thankfully, Frost remains undefeated, even if they clap Selen. Our boat built, we have 2 choices. My first option is Gruberic, home of what is statistically the only reason you've heard of this game, the Ancient Cave. With a lot of luck, I can kit myself out with endgame duds that have the best IP in the biz. But I used up all of my luck getting the Sword of Kings in my Earthbound minimal spending run, and I don't want to push it. I decided that if I got stuck, I could go spelunking and hope I got lucky. But I wouldn't need to for... you'll see why later. With Gruberic skipped for now, we head to Narcissus. And Narcissus has a major problem. Idura's back. He's faster and stronger, but with full IP bars and sound strategy, I'm able to send him back to wherever he came from. Next up is the Karloon Shrine, and hey, it's Idura again. And it's the third boss in a row that outspeeds us and is weak to ice. But unlike his former employer, Idura has been working out. Not only is he way more powerful, he can cause confusion with his all-party attack. The hell of it is that I only have 2 pieces of armor that can shrug off the confusion status. So I level grind, power through, and he just doesn't use it next time. Alright then. Anyway, he takes the car with him and we move on. Next, we meet a guy named Lexus, who tries to get us to buy a boat. After we signal our openness to this for some reason, we run into a flower girl, and before she can get skewered with the Masamune, we put her to bed and seek out the flower she wants. Thankfully, this evil flower that's in our way is one of the easiest bosses in the game, and... okay then. It turns out when you're intentionally keeping your levels low, every boss is a threat. I restart, I actually buff this time, and while it's a bit dicey, we pluck the rose and we obtain the pretty flower. We've done it. Now that we have a boat, we unlock Forfeit Island, which is handy because they have a special store where I can repurchase all of the stuff I've already sold. So I'm able to sell a ton of crap I've been holding on to because it had good IP. Secure in the knowledge that I can just rebuy it if needed. Coffers full, we head to Dankirk, where the ruby icon is stolen, our replica is immediately discovered to be a fake, and we have to go to the Dankirk North Cave. The first half is an annoying puzzle, which I rock, and the second half is just full of annoying monsters. Thankfully, with prudent use of hook and arrows, most monsters are avoidable. The only baddies I actually have to fight are several shadows, whose one-shot capability has me sweating. They luckily aren't able to pull that off, and I advance to fight several soldiers, who go down to 1 round of all-party IP attacks. The Watergate is open and we now have free reign of the map, so our next order of business is a world tour. See, 3 or 4 towns have just opened up, and that means I can go purchase their goodies and avail myself of that wonderful IP. Once I've got a pretty good loadout in terms of IP, I head to Farum, I save, and I call it a day. Not knowing that my run is about to be over. Damn it. I guess this is why Tantacles says don't buy a boat. Alright, story time everybody. So this isn't the first copy of Lufia 2 I've owned to which this happened. My first attempt at this run ended slightly after Sundleton, when that cartridge also decided to lose a save. Which I understand, I get it, these cartridges are 30 years old and change, they're gonna mess up. It happens. So it's at this point that I weigh my options. I can buy yet another copy of Lufia 2, a classic JRPG that's well regarded and therefore commands a lofty price, and whose second copy I obtained took me a great deal of searching in my large city with multiple retro game stores. I can sail the friendly seas, A thing that, while I don't encourage it, I don't feel nearly as bad about, given I literally spent my own money to buy 2 copies of this game. But I'd like to do everything for this channel on actual factual hardware. Or, there's the nuclear option. I noticed that the game had several saves that didn't get deleted, each at the end of the game. So, I could just skip several bosses and just knock out the final 4 Sinistrals.
Screw it. We ball.
Gades is a little bit annoying. I buff way too much, and Destructo Wave literally stops damaging me. And it, well, seems to be his attack of choice there. Thankfully, his normal hits still damage me, and he finally does enough of those to get my IP bars up to snuff. It takes what feels like forever, but I do eventually take him down. Amon can at least damage me with regularity, so that's good. Dude still goes down like a chump to my holy attacks. Arim is the most challenging one thus far. Devastation Wave can one-shot me, and Darkfry hits very hard, except weirdly for Artea, who takes next to no damage from it. So that means I'm either going down in 2 hits or not taking enough damage to do anything with my IP. Thankfully, she switches between Devastation Wave and Darkfry enough, so I'm eventually able to get the IP necessary to knock her out. The less said about Douse, the better. He calls us hoochies, which just feels like a cheap shot. We are women of the highest repute. We've done it. We've saved the world with absolutely 0 loss of life. That's right, everybody is just all the time coming home to their loved ones and families and dogs. Nobody dies. Sure, we missed several bosses, and the Tarantula seems undoable, but I think the bosses that I had to skip are indeed achievable IP only. They come after the game really opens up, and if all else fails, you have access to the ancient cave, so there's no reason you shouldn't be able to find some strategy to beat them. I'd love to have done all of that stuff myself, but sadly it just wasn't meant to be. This challenge was a very interesting way to play the game though. I'd really recommend it to anyone looking for a fresh perspective on Lufia 2. Maybe someday the universe will deign to allow me to complete the Lufia 2 IP only challenge, but that day was not today. Thanks so much for watching, and from me to you, have a good Arbor Day if you're watching this on Arbor Day.